Hey, I'm Dave.
And I'm Mike.
We're going to talk about the Myers-Briggs.
Our favorite topic in the whole universe.
We like it better than pizza.
Yes, we do.
Today we're going to talk about the Jungian Shadow. And what that entails is whatever your personality type is, you also have the opposite within you, the opposite four letters. So for example, I'm an Infj, and my opposite would be an ESTP. And Mike, you're an ENFP, but what would your shadow be?
My shadow is Istj. And so first let's talk about the Jungian shadow a little bit and describe how we're using this with the Myers-Briggs. Your shadow, according to Carl Jung, is basically the part of your unconscious mind where you keep repressed feelings, thoughts, instincts, parts of yourself that you do not like or you consider weak or for whatever reason upset you. That doesn't mean that they are actually weak or that they're actually bad things, because your shadow manifests itself with other people in other ways, and other things that are a necessary part of the human condition, a necessary part of life. But for whatever reason, you personally have repressed these things into the unconscious part of your persona, of your personality. And that's not the part that you put out, but they're still there. And what we're sort of suggesting is that the personality of your shadow, as a type, is your opposite personality type. Okay, so my shadow, the part of me that I'm repressing, is the ISTJ personality type, and the things about the ISTJ that are connected together. And this is all very fascinating for a few reasons, as I will reveal in a little while. Now, the way the shadow represents itself, though, is really in that which you hate. Okay, so things that you hate and things that you dislike are really things that are inside of you, that are in your shadow, in part of your persona, and that's why you hate them. So the shadow is really the shadow manifests itself as projections. Okay, and projections of part of the things that you don't like. Okay, so that's not necessarily people. It could be more abstract things, and I have some examples of that for myself. You know, so Dave, you're an INFJ.
Correct. Yes.
So your shadow would manifest itself as an SP, specifically an ESTP. So what are some things about that you do not like, or what is it about the ESTP that is things that you hate in the world? Because these are really things about yourself that you don't like. Keep that in mind. Because the shadow, I should also say this too, sometimes the shadow comes out, not just projects out of you, but through you. You sort of become your own shadow sometimes when you're more weaker, darker moments.
Doesn't Jung say under times of like stress or pressure that your shadow will come out as a defense mechanism?
Yes, and either as a projection, so you're really hating something because it's actually reminding of you, your own shadow, or you're actually acting in a way that's like your shadow.
Yeah.
You know, so there are times when you're acting like an ESTP.
Yes.
For example.
Yes.
So when does that happen? So when does any of that happen?
That happens when I am, stressed out, or something is aggravating me in the environment or whatever. And I'm sorry, ESTPs, but for including myself, sometimes I can be a dick. Just like really,
Just like you. Is that what you're saying, Dave?
Not always. Not always.
Like you always, but him only part of the time, right?
No. But it's just always like outgoing, kind of just. It's really hard to describe. I mean, it happens like in a few instances, but in those instances, it's hard to really recall exactly how you acted. But I know I acted in a way that may have like upset people, and that wouldn't have been my genuine self. So, like we talked about authenticity for the NF, and I feel I was being slightly inauthentic. But then again, that was like a defense mechanism.
Okay. Well, one of the things that ESTPs are sort of stereotypically known for is kind of having a lot of courage before thinking things through.
Yes.
That was being nice. The other way is balls before brains. is sort of the SP, specifically for the ESTP. What are things, not necessarily in EST people, but when are there moments in the world where you see that are there moments that where you see that gets you upset? Not necessarily directly connected to an ESTP.
You mean just like in my own general experience?
Yes, where you see somebody having a lot of bravado, but not a lot of thought. And how does that make you feel?
I see it a lot of the time when uh, just trying to plan like big trips. You know, there are certain people I know who are probably SPs that have been like, yeah, let's do it like right now. You know, like for one example was we were going to trip up to Provincetown, Massachusetts for during one summer day. This was like recently, like this past summer, and they wanted to do it like that day. And I was like, well, I can't have poetry reading. And they're like, oh, come on, you know, let's do it. It'll take 3 hours, but, you know, when we get there, it'll be a great time. And it's just, you know, let's have money, first of all, you know, and we don't, what are we going to do? Just, like, go there and chill out on the beach at night and then drive back. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, that kind of upsets me sometimes, I'll admit. But I don't know. Spontaneity is not always bad. It's just when it's completely unplanned. Yeah, that makes no sense. I know, but I'm a J. Cut me some slack.
Okay, we'll cut you some slack.
No, you won't.
No, I will. I'm a P. I can do that. You won't cut yourself any slack.
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm. But what about you, Mike?
Well, my shadow manifests itself as the personality type ISTJ, and this is particularly bizarre in my life for multiple reasons. One is that if you've seen our previous videos, I come from a family entirely of SJs. So first of all, my entire family manifests itself in my shadow. So there's that. The second part of it is that two immediate family members are ESTJ. My sister's husband, ISTJ. My sister's husband is an ISTJ. Okay, and he's been in the family for over 30 years and is a very wonderful human being.
Right.
And in some bizarre cosmic joke being played upon myself and my son, by God, my son is an ISTJ.
Which we have right here.
That's right.
Everybody, this is Noah.
That's right.
He's an ISTJ, Mike Shadow.
That's right. And so
yes.
Noah is an ISTJ. And thus I am his shadow as well. So we're both simultaneously each other's shadow at this personified through father and son. So there's that whole thing, and someday we'll have a video, Noah, just about that, just specifically you and me on that issue. So that's Noah. And so now the way it manifests itself for me as a shadow, though, isn't so much against Noah. But I find that I hate and I rebel against things that ISTJs tend to like and do well at. And that's how my shadow comes out. So, for example, as an ENFP, I hate bureaucracy. Okay? I hate a social structure where there's hierarchy and consistency and all that. I hate all that. I rebel against it completely. As ISTJs, as you know, really like that. ISTJs like bureaucracy and hierarchy. I hate rules. I break rules. I don't even follow the rules. ISTJs are all about the rules. I rebel against, hating the rules and fighting against the rules is part of my shadow coming out. Let's see, what else? Rules. Monotonous, tedious work. Boy, I cannot.
Monotonous.
Yes. I'm very terrible at doing monotonous, tedious work. I hate all monotonous, tedious work. I won't do it.
And I'm great at it.
That's right. Like all ISTJs are very good at it. So I don't see it coming out being upset at people like Noah or my brother-in-law or anybody else or other ISTJs that I know. But I find that I rebel against institutions and aspects of life that ISTJs excel in, are able to do well in, are the ones that I am fighting against, and that's where my shadow often comes out.
Anything to say, Noah?
Well, the thing that I don't get about ENFPs is your extensive imagination.
Ha!
So when you tell or start saying stuff about your fantasies of, the crystal city in the sky, I'm like, what would be the point of that?
Oh my god, we just mentioned that in our last video too. How SJs don't get the imagination.
I continuously say stuff like, what would be the point of that?
Oh, did I not? Oh man. See, this is why the Myers-Briggs is
That's right.
So
and what Noah's
funny.
talking about is this fantasy I have of, and this great because all NFs are going to love this, of the crystal sky castle. On a cloud in the sky. Ideally, where would I? Somebody asked me once. Ideally, where could you live? What would you want to live in? And I said a crystal sky castle. Floating in the sky. You have to get in a helicopter and get into it.
Whereas I just like to be.
Is that
in
an
like
NF
a
wonderful?
office.
Yeah, right. A
An
cubicle.
office building.
I'd be in my own little cubicle.
Yeah,
An office building of all places.
that's great. An office
It
building.
can't be an office building in the sky.
No, it's got to be on the ground.
It's gotta be on the ground.
It's safer on the ground.
ISTJ heaven.
Yay. So
So go ahead, Dave.
no, what are you gonna say?
No, I'm
No, I was just checking the time.
Oh, okay. All right, so those are ways that the shadow manifests ourselves, but we have to remember, though, as NFs and even as an SJ, that the things that we hate in the other, or parts that we hate, like bureaucracy for me or whatever, are actually parts of ourselves. It means we have to admit that there's a part of ourselves that is, so as an ENFP, there's a part of myself that is bureaucratic, or acts bureaucratically, or acts rule-oriented, or is rigid on the rules, or part of me that's rigid on the rules, or part of me that is either causing or creating or doing mundane tasks and things like that. That the shadow is really always about yourself. So the shadow, even though it is my shadow, it's really not about him. It's really about me, and whatever it is I'm repressing and why I'm repressing it and all that. So it's a good thing to remember that your shadow is still you. Even when it manifests in another human being you happen to be directly related to. It's not actually about him. It's really actually about me.
Yeah, we don't hate each other or anything. We just don't get each other at all.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so there's nothing wrong
I
with
still
that.
love you.
Group hug, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And I'd also like to mention, and a lot of the INFJs out there will probably get this, is that one thing about the SPs that I can see in myself that I don't necessarily like would be the bluntness that I have with people sometimes, especially when I'm under stress, and they can probably relate. Is just sometimes when I'm not in the mood to talk to anybody, and someone's nagging at me, especially an SJ parent. Sorry, Noah. But it's just I'll just be completely blunt, and I'll just be no, I don't care, just leave me alone. So that comes out, and I always feel bad anyway, because I'm an NF, and I have to feel bad. Pretty much. So anything you want to add?
Well,
No.
even though, remember that your shadow is still a part of you, and somehow you share a wholeness with your shadow, and that the only way to really be whole, holistically, is to embrace your shadow, or try to acknowledge what parts of the shadow there's that create part of the greater whole, even though it's coming from this totally different point of view. So, for example, one common joke that Noah and I have been going back and forth about for years now is that even though we both grew up with comics and we love comic books and superheroes, and I loved superheroes and he loved superheroes,
God.
but Noah has joined the dark side and decided to like Marvel comics, as opposed to realizing that
Marvel is
that
awesome.
DC Comics is, of course, the better comics of them all, and that
Shut up.
and that Batman could beat every single Marvel comic superhero. And on that note, I guess we're done.
I guess so. But we're opening it up to all
Yes.
the Myers-Briggs types. Tell us how your shadow affects you.
Okay.
That's right, and how
Marvel Comics is good, but I do have to agree
and
with
Batman
you on
is the best.
Yes.
I was going to agree with you on the Batman.
Just click. No, it's not touch.
Oh.
We can't edit, so whatever.